middle. It's Cristiano Ronaldo for Portugal. It's 3-0. And Ronaldo strikes again.
Welcome to today's deep dive. I am so glad you're here with us. So, there's this very specific kind of heartbreak that you feel when you're watching a superhero movie, and the hero's powers just suddenly glitch.
Oh, yeah, like when they try to fly and just plummet.
Exactly. They jump to fly and they fall. And you're sitting there in the theater, like waiting for the dramatic music to swell, for that miraculous second wind.
Mm.
But the screen just fades to black.
Right, the magic just runs out.
Yeah. And that exact jarring feeling watching this literally godlike figure finally succumb to gravity is exactly what the world felt watching Cristiano Ronaldo exit the 2026 World Cup.
It really is. I mean, it forces us to confront our own assumptions about time. We are so conditioned to expect this absolute defiance of physics from him,
Right.
So when the reality of aging actually sets in on a global stage, it is incredibly difficult to process.
Which is why today we're unpacking the emotional, complex timeline of his 2026 World Cup farewell. A story of heartbreak, defiance, and just this staggering transformation.
Yeah, and we've got a really great stack of sources to help us do that.
We do. We are opening up tactical data from Optajo, these massive financial and social impact reports from Football Benchmark and emotional match reports spanning all the way from 2022 to the 2026 tournament in North America. We want to figure out exactly how the ultimate superhero finally glitched.
Because the goal of this deep dive isn't just to talk about football scores, right? It's to understand why this specific 2026 exit hit so incredibly hard.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to examine his physical evolution, his massive off-pitch rebranding in Saudi Arabia, and the sheer weight of his 23-year international legacy.
So to map out the chronological timeline of Ronaldo's emotional 2026 farewell, and to really grasp the weight of those tears in Texas in 2026,
Yeah.
you actually cannot start in North America.
No, you have to rewind.
Right, the causal chain begins 4 years earlier. We have to look at the ghosts of Qatar, specifically the psychological damage that was inflicted during his 2022 World Cup campaign.
Because Qatar was really the moment the unspoken contract between Ronaldo and the football world was broken.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
I mean, for 15 years, the tactical setup for the Portuguese national team was incredibly simple. You put 11 men on the pitch, and 10 of them have the primary job of serving the ball to Cristiano.
Right, he was the sun, and the entire system orbited around him.
Exactly. But by 2022, the mechanics of elite football had evolved. The modern game requires this high-intensity pressing from every single player on the pitch.
Including the forward.
Including the forwards. And at 37 years old, his body simply could not execute that sustained pressure anymore.
Imagine a legendary lead actor, someone who has had their name at the very top of the marquee for 2 straight decades, suddenly showing up to set and being told the script has changed.
Right, like, hey, you're playing a supporting role now.
Exactly. And that shock to his system really culminated in the round of 16 against Switzerland. Coach Fernando Santos benched him.
Which was huge.
Huge. That wasn't just a rest day, That was a tactical repudiation. It was the first time Ronaldo had been benched in a World Cup since 2006.
When he was just 21 years old.
Right.
And the mechanism of that decision is what made it so devastating for him. Santos replaced him with a 21-year-old named Gonçalo Ramos.
Oh, yeah.
If Ramos had gone out there and played poorly, Ronaldo's status would have been instantly validated, right?
Mm-hmm.
People would say, see, they need a Cristiano.
But that is not what happened.
Not at all. Ramos goes out and scores a hat-trick. 3 goals in a single game. The team didn't just survive without their focal point. They looked faster, more fluid, and significantly more dangerous.
Wow.
It proved to the world, and honestly, more painfully to his own teammates, that the old system was obsolete.
Which perfectly sets up that brutal visual of the quarterfinal against Morocco. Portugal is losing 1-0. They throw Ronaldo onto the pitch in the 51st minute, just desperately hoping for one last superhero moment.
But he can't save them.
He can't. The final whistle blows, and you see this chaotic, devastating image. Ronaldo walking down the tunnel in tears, entirely alone, literally having to dodge a pitch invader just to get to the locker room.
Yeah, that Morocco game was the fracture point. Because Qatar proved he could no longer physically carry Europe's elite, he was basically forced into a massive pivot.
Right.
If his body was failing him in the traditional European football hierarchy, he needed to find an environment where his sheer aura was still enough to command the stage.
Okay, but I have to push back here for a second, though.
Sure.
Because after that bitter exit, he leaves Manchester United in a pretty messy divorce and signs with Saudi Arabia's Al Nassr for a reported $200 million a year.
Right. A massive contract.
It's so easy to look at that move and just see a victory lap for a massive paycheck. Taking that much money to play in a lesser-known league just looks like a cynical retirement fund. Did his presence actually change the football ecosystem, or was it purely PR?
I mean, if you view it purely through the lens of European Champions League football, yeah, it looks like a retirement tour. But the data from the football benchmark reports shows us that the mechanics of this move were far more complex.
Okay, I saw it.
It was frankly unprecedented. He didn't just join a league. He acted as the ultimate proof of concept for Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030.
And just real quick for you listening, to be clear, we are not taking any political sides on Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 or endorsing their policies. We are just impartially reporting on what the financial sources say about the strategy, which is their geopolitical plan to diversify the economy away from oil and become a global tourism and entertainment hub.
Exactly. And people wonder, how does one player actually shift a geopolitical strategy?
Yeah, because people tune in for a game, sure.
Yeah.
But does that actually change the whole financial structure of a league?
Absolutely, it does, through the mechanism of broadcast rights and psychological safety.
Psychological safety.
Yeah. Before he arrived, the international TV rights for the Saudi Pro League were negligible. Nobody was watching. But the moment he signed, networks in roughly 170 countries suddenly purchased broadcasting rights.
170. That is insane.
It's staggering. Al Nassr went from 5.2 million digital followers to 57.5 million in just over 2 years. They became the second most followed club outside of Europe.
Wow.
And crucially, by absorbing the reputational risk of being the first global superstar to leave Europe for the Middle East, he created that psychological safety net I mentioned.
Oh, I see. Because he went first, it was okay for others to go.
Precisely. That is what allowed players like Neymar, Karim Benzema, and Sadio Mane to follow him. Neymar actually went on record explicitly saying Ronaldo started all of this, and everyone called him crazy at the time.
So global search volume for the league spiked 30-fold, and the average squad value in the Saudi First Division nearly tripled, jumping from under 20 million euros to 60 million euros. That does not happen without him breaking the ice first. He effectively legitimized an entire sports ecosystem almost overnight.
He really did, and this is where we see his transition from a purely physical asset to a massively appreciating digital and cultural brand. A traditional tourism board would need decades and billions of dollars to generate that kind of global exposure.
Right.
Instead, you have Ronaldo posting a supposedly casual video of a family trip to the Red Sea, and it generates 16 million likes on Instagram.
16 million. Or launching a YouTube channel that explodes to 74 million subscribers where he's collaborating with massive creators like Mr. Beast. It bypasses traditional media gatekeepers entirely.
Exactly. He realized that while his on-pitch physical value was depreciating, his brand value in that Middle Eastern market was skyrocketing. He was essentially commodifying his own legacy.
But, building a digital empire off the pitch doesn't actually stop the clock on the pitch.
Right. Time still catches up.
And that is where we're leaving things for part 1. The story gets even crazier in part 2, which is live on the channel right now. Click here to check it out. If you enjoyed this breakdown, drop a like, subscribe, and let's keep moving.